The 2023 Virginia Bigfoot Conference sponsors. Sponsored and promoted by Legit Paranormal. Today's live episode is brought to you by Sasquatch. Be sure to get you some. The sauce that spots.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Zone. Tonight we're doing our open roundtable talk, and there's a few things we're going to cover tonight and go over. Some of the things you'll see and hear us talk about tonight, you probably heard us talk about them a million times, but we'll get into that very shortly here. First of all, we have Nikki with us tonight. It's going to be just me and Nikki tonight, and I'm always honored to have Nikki here with us. Nikki's very busy with her own podcast. As you see in her background, she always promotes her background, her show, and also she's got this coming up Sunday. So yeah, I know you're promoting this. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I've seen Steve Calls actually promote it too on his end.
Oh, awesome!
So
nice.
I think so. I'm pretty sure because he had that same image on his end, so I don't know. I'm assuming it's the same thing. So, but I don't know if it's something they've already talked about, or I don't know if he's got it coming up. So, but yeah, so this is what we got going on.
Well,
this has got
it's a whole deal with this picture here and everything that's been going on in the community. So a lot of people have been bringing it up. I'm taking a little bit different angle on it. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, this picture's been around for a long time.
Right. It's the Sugar Flat Road Monster, and it's out of Tennessee, and it's a head. Okay, it's a head in a glass case that's been held by several different people and on loan at museums and stuff like that. However, there's another story about how it got introduced into the Bigfoot community, and that is the Norm Glasser hoax, which happened back in 2013.
Oh, okay. See, I'm familiar with the face because when you were telling me about it the other day, I didn't recognize the name, but when you showed me the face, I was like, oh, okay, I know the face.
Yeah.
I never knew where it came from. I didn't know the story behind it whatsoever. So, but I've only seen it around. So, okay, so yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, Steve Alcorn was the original person who interviewed Norm Glasser when that photo first came out. So, and he actually has the interview. I don't know if we're going to be using it in the show yet, but I'm more interested in the details of the story because I hear it's quite entailed. So
interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, there's another thing that's really big in the community right now, and I know I had posted and shared something a few days ago, and it's regarding the famous AI images. Well, there was a new one that I saw pop up, and I was like, I know maybe I should just ignore them, but there's so many new people, jumping into this community almost every day or every other day or every year, to say the least. But and even Thomas Markham told me under my post, he's like, he said, you're just wasting your breath. I say I might be doing that, but at the same time, I feel it's necessary to at least point it out, And
And
yeah, it's just
well,
it is ridiculous. It's getting out of hand, you know.
and it's going to
Um,
get worse. Been telling people this for months, and it has caught up to us. And now
mhm.
people are starting to see that it's going to get worse. It's going to get better. The AI is going to get better, and
Yeah,
people are going to start learning how to create things and backstories as well to go with those things. So it's not going to get easy, but you just have to
yeah.
look for the red flags and don't trust everything you see right off the bat. So,
Yeah, now there's two individuals, two ladies I have a lot of respect for, and I love their work. They do the AI work. They create their work for their own purposes,
mhm,
and they put it out there, and they always put their name on their work. So,
mhm,
and they are good because, for example, Raven Hawk. For those who know Raven Hawk,
mhm,
um, actually, she gave me permission to use one of her designs that I picked out
mhm.
for our event T-shirt. So that design on the front, that's from Raven Hawk, and I'm very thankful for her allowing me to use that. And the other one is Linda. Linda Wood, I believe is the name. She is very talented as well.
Mhm.
And the one thing that Linda, she actually showed me some of her what she calls her artwork with errors and mistakes. What AI looks like that's not perfected.
Mhm. Mhm.
For example, and I've seen them in some of these other ones that people throw out there to try to claim is real.
Yeah.
Some of them might have an extra digit, like extra finger or not enough fingers.
Right, right,
Some,
right.
yeah,
I just
little things
mentioned
like
that
that.
too. I was
Yeah,
just telling people that because we want to know how can we tell the difference. And I go, there's always going to be something in that photo that didn't get generated, and the fingers never come out right. They either come out with just four, or they're all crooked and all like retarded
yeah,
looking. And I go and stuff in the face isn't correct. So you have to just pay attention to what you're doing. The other thing is seeing all these pictures come up. There's a difference between computer generated imagery, AI, and graphics, computer graphics. Um, because with the AI, you're simply asking that program to create something. And to me, that's not art to me.
right,
uh, but if you're creating something from scratch on your computer, that is a privileged type of work that is completely artwork,
right,
and that can look really good. So, there's a lot of confusion out there as to what is what. Who did you actually create that image, drawing it from the beginning to the end, or did you take it and just tell a computer to do it?
right.
So,
Like I wanted to throw this one up here, right here. I mean,
mhm,
right away, two observations. The right side of the arm. I mean, as it's facing us, you can see one hand's way bigger than the other. Um, the foot that's with the toes facing us, the big toes on the outside, not on the inside.
yeah, the
So
feet are reversed. For some
yeah,
reason, they got the feet reversed, and the eyes are not flush. They're just like empty. There's no eyeballs or anything I don't see in there. Um,
right. And I only uploaded a few examples. I didn't get too many on here. So,
mhm.
but here's another AI image. And for those who are new to seeing some of these, you're going to keep seeing these, and some of them are going to look really good.
Right.
And for example, this one here was photoshopped into a background of a real forest.
Real background. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
soon they're going to learn how to put that photo back in those trees, and, by layering, because all the Macs have that. ability to layer, so you can have one image just stacked on the next, and they look like they're in there. So, and
Right.
it's happening. It's going to start happening.
Yeah. So, like I said, I only downloaded or uploaded, I should say, a few, and some of them are going to be very as obvious that they're not real, like this one here.
Mhm.
Hold on. Well, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was actually a Google search of AI dog man. Oh, there's another one I did not upload. There's actually a video footage of this supposed or alleged dog or wolf, a werewolf, running, and then every so often you'll see it quickly running on two legs. And
Yeah.
I've seen similar videos to that, and I wish I did upload it because it is clearly AI. So yeah, AI images and digitally created artwork, I've learned, is not just in photos, but they could be
Mhm.
used in videos as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is a very obvious cartoonish look right here, you know.
Right, right.
So yeah, some of these I think you would almost see something like this in a video game, you know. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so
The hunting Bigfoot and all of those, all looks like this.
oh yeah, absolutely. Let me take a look at something here real quick. So
And remember, if you're using the same AI, the more and more people do this, the more it's learning. So
yeah,
it's absolutely gonna start getting better and better. They're gonna start changing. Well, the hair needs to be more this color, the hair needs to look like a this kind of hair, and it all these little changes are just gonna keep on feeding that AI, depending on which AI you use, whatever server or um, app you use. It just depends. So
absolutely. So I believe that's all the ones I had. I had this one here. Now, this one here, when I found this one here, there was a description with this one. This one here was actually only a sketch drawing. So
uh-huh.
I just, but I threw it up there because there is AI images that look like this as well, or could look like this. But
Uh-huh.
again, according to the description, this was only a sketch drawing based off of an eyewitness account. So I thought I'd throw that one up there as well. So, oh, and so now on a real note, I came across, well, it was in question mark. It said Chupacabra with a question mark. This is actually not a video footage. Actually, I think there may have been a video, but I came across an article in my Google News feed. This is from out of the state of Alabama. So I did a screenshot, and before I show this, in my honest opinion, um, there was a lot of questioning in what it could have been, and they don't know it's a mysterious canine image. But I believe this is no more than a coyote with mange, because mange is, I don't want to say it's common, but it happens with a lot of species: bears, foxes, and coyotes, and I'm sure a few other animals. And from
Mhm.
what I read and learned, mange is something that develops from ticks that are burrowed underneath the surface of the skin of an animal. Well, so here is a picture of a mange species. This was
Mhm.
taken and found down in Alabama, um, courtesy of the Alabama Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division.
Right.
So yeah, they found it mysterious, but I believe if you look very closely, it's got
Yeah.
a long, skinny tail down in the back between the two hind legs.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, so this
Yeah, well,
was
it looks exactly like almost like what they found in that ranch in Texas that they're claiming was a chupacabra.
right.
So, and those DNA came back that it was, I think, Mexican coyote.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think that's what it came back as. I can't
Yeah.
remember. But yeah, mange is a serious thing, and when you take hair, fur off of an animal, it completely changes its look. Completely.
Yeah.
If you've
Oh,
seen raccoon without their hair, it's the scariest looking thing you've ever seen.
ooh, a black bear. A black bear is very freakish looking. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very wild because we're used to seeing a black bear, fully coated, and they got their cute looking face and everything. But yeah, you remove
Mhm.
all that hair, they're the
Right.
ugliest, one of the ugliest animals on earth. you know. So, oh man, I'm sure Sasquatch says that about us. You know, those humans are ugly. They have no hair. But me, on the other hand, I'm like welcome. So
You're pretty, yeah.
I'm a
I think
stud in their department.
you're covered, Daniel.
Right? Absolutely. Um, so yeah, before we get into any other random discussions, I do want to throw something out there and promote it. You guys saw it in the beginning. For those who are here from the beginning, when I did a promotional video of our sponsors, it's coming up very soon. Our annual Virginia Bigfoot conference. One of our main guests that will be there, and he'll be set up with the vendors. So it'll be very easy access to come meet Turtle Man. For those who know him from Animal Planet's called the Wild Man. I'm excited to have them with us. I was just speaking to Turtle Man's girlfriend, which he calls her Turtle Gal. Her real name's Suzanne. Suzanne, excuse me. And I believe it's spelled the same way your sister's name
Oh,
is.
uh-huh.
Yeah, but yeah, Turtle Gal. Yeah, her name is Suzanne Salzman. So yeah, I had to call and talk to her, work out some minor details, and then next thing you know, we're talking for the next almost hour and a half, 2 hours about Bigfoot. So
I
yeah, it's
love
like,
that video he did for your conference.
oh yeah, my sponsor who is covering him actually went down to Tennessee or Kentucky to meet up with him to do that. Yeah, he used it.
Oh, it is so
Yeah,
funny. Loved it. Yeah.
yeah, my well, we know him as we're sponsoring him and promoting him as the Shenandoah Squatch. His real name is Dwight, and yeah, he runs a gift shop over on the mountain,
Mhm.
and a lot of the craft that's in there, he sells it for his wife, but he has a lot of artwork and crafts that he makes himself. It's all Bigfoot and Sasquatch related stuff. So
Oh.
he's got T-shirts, he's got woodwork. Yeah, he got pretty creative with a lot of that stuff. Um, so yeah, Shenandoah Squatch from Lydia Mountain Lodge is our one of our big sponsors, and we are very thankful for him that he is help bring in Turtle Man to our show June
Nice.
17th.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited that he will be there, and so yeah, for those who might be listening, if you know anybody that is a vendor, we have a few leftover outdoor spots. The inside is completely full, but we do have a few spots for the outside. If you're interested, send me an email, message me on Facebook. Um, we already have paparazzi, we have Sensi, and all the above. Usually, those spots usually end up filling up quick in the beginning because a lot
Mhm.
of our vendors we start promoting like as soon as our June 17th event is done. Within over the next month or so, I'm already going to be jumping on and promoting next year's event. So um,
Yeah.
I've been getting. I mean, to me, it's been helping me out a lot throwing and promoting it out there and getting stuff already in place. Like speakers, I already got people already asking about next year. Um,
Mhm.
but with that being said, um, I now have a committee. I'm supposed to meet up with them tomorrow evening. They have been a big part of my event, and they've been sponsoring as well. And I asked them. I threw the idea out there, and they like were super excited to jump on board with this. So they are going to be a big help because this is a lot of mental work and um, dealing with this and organizing this and make sure everything's in order. Doing this by myself. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of help having a team behind me now, and we're going to sit
So
down and go over some ideas.
can you say
Uh,
who's on your team, or do they want to remain anonymous?
oh no, 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 no! I could definitely mention them. They didn't tell me not to mention them. They are the Twisted Paranormal Society, also known as the Twisted Realm. They are a paranormal team, TV producers. I'm actually on one of their shows on the first episode. They're the ones that film me.
Mm,
They are actually local, but they live about almost a half hour from me. So
mm,
yeah, so they're going
okay.
to be behind this. They also they know some big names themselves and have some connections. Um, so with their expertise with organizing all, they do a lot of events themselves, a lot of paranormal events and everything. Um, However, I think with us working together, I think we're going to have some good things come out of this. Because when they started attending my events, they were blown away. They're like, "Wow, we don't even get these kind of crowds." But so yeah, but
I
they
know
have.
the one I went to, it was pretty packed. And I mean, there was just vendors falling out the door and all the way down to the field. And I was like, oh
Oh
my God,
yeah.
there's a whole field down there full of full of people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. That venue, I did like that venue. It's just some of the vendors that were out back, like they actually
Mhm.
came up and one of them put a sign at the front door saying vendors out back. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
assuming everybody knew because most of the parking was out back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we
yeah,
had vendors inside the building too, but um, now our last venue at the Holiday Inn, we had a separate room. We had the main hallway. We had vendors out in the main
right.
hallway, and then we had another room where the vendors were packed.
Hmm.
Like basically the way it was set up, tables were butting each other, and on the most
Yeah.
part. So yeah, we had a lot of vendors there. But at least with where we are this year, there will be a little bit of space between vendors,
Uh-huh.
and I have it categorized. I actually have a floor plan put together where everybody's going to be at, and
Yeah.
even having that organized and set up, it's still like in the back of my mind is like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just like I hopefully it goes into place. Everything works together.
Yes.
So yeah,
Right. Because
but
will this
I
be your
do
first time at this new place?
no. This place here, we actually held our October event there. Our
Okay.
Virginia Squatch Fest there.
Okay.
Except all, yeah, the only difference is all the vendors were outside, and we had the speakers in the gym. This year, all the vendors, well, a majority of the vendors will be in the gym. And there's actually two other rooms. One's upstairs, one's downstairs. They're both about the same. They hold up 200 people. Our speakers will be doing that upstairs. Um, Even though the downstairs you would think would be more convenient, it would be easier to set up, being that it's downstairs. Um, the only problem is where we're going to have Turtle Man set up at. We just feel like it's going to be, well, it might be too loud right there, So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so um, yeah, but I think everything's going to work out because I'll be there the day before Friday because I'm going to get our food trucks to come set up in the parking lot because it's going to be very busy there Saturday morning because we're going to have vendors lined up around the building, bringing their stuff in to get set up. We're going to have vendors setting up outside. So yeah, we have a good variety of food vendors. We got barbecue, we got a hot dog truck, we got Mexican food, and then we have a one truck that sells all kinds of sweets, desserts, milkshakes, and everything. So that's going to be awesome.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. The Mexican food vendors they were with us last October, and I'm glad they reached back out to want to come back again. Um, yeah, because their food is amazing. I've sampled one of their quesadillas last year, and it was awesome. And their drinks, they got their, I forget what they're called, but they had a couple different types of drinks. And I think, I can't remember the one I had. I think the one I had like pineapple flavor and something. I don't know, but it was amazing. So yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, they
Aguas
definitely got some.
frescas.
What's that?
They're probably aguas frescas. They're
Uh,
like water juice
Maybe.
or horchata, probably.
Yeah, they had them in a big giant container where they could, disperse it out of a spout. But yeah, it was very delicious stuff. So, um, but yeah, I mean, they're basically they're family oriented. I think most of them are all family, and yeah, they're real good. So, um, yeah, sending emails back and forth to them was kind of a challenge because one, they don't respond right away. And the reason behind that is because the woman that's emailing me, I think she's got to wait for her daughter or somebody to reply. Because like even in person, when they're there in person, there's a young girl that's with them. They're like, I guess it's the daughter to whatever. Because there's a father, there's a mother, and there's other people. There's like a whole pack of them that cook and work together there. And
Yeah.
so they use the daughter to translate. Yeah, so cause, yeah, they don't speak good English, but the food's amazing, and they seem like very good people. So they're very nice, friendly
Yeah.
people. So,
Yeah.
but so yeah, yeah, to have that variety, I'm glad we're gonna have that. So yeah. So anyway, tell you what, did I play my Yeah, I don't know if did I play the my Sasquatch little
Sauce.
promo?
Yeah. Your sauce. Yeah. With your deep
Yeah,
voice. Your echoey.
yeah.
Today's live episode is brought to you by Sasquatch. Be sure to get you some the sauce that spots.
Yeah, I had to throw that out there one more time. So, yeah, because Sasquatch is one of our vendors. I mean, well, yeah, he's going to be one of our vendors. He's also one of our sponsors. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, Melissa said, yeah, talking about the Mexican food. Yeah, she said their tacos were so yummy, awesome. Yeah, she said, oh, this is what she said. Yeah, hold on, where is it? They also had Jarritos. Jarrito, am I saying it right? Is that the? I think that's where.
Jaritos.
Yeah, is that the drinks that we're talking about? Yeah. John Ayers, is this not live? Yes, it sure is live. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe was there something maybe he
What?
said I was ignoring?
Did you get frozen, John? I didn't see
So
any
yeah.
glitches.
Oh no, he because okay, there was questions. I haven't been watching the live chat, so
Okay.
um, yeah, he had a question. He said, with a lot of people, do you have EMS on site?
Fine.
He said over 300 people in New York State, you need EMS on site. We do not. Although we do have military personnel that attend to our events, and um, I'm sure they're trained. So the fire department is right next door as well, up on the hill, so we're covered. So I feel comfortable having the firefighter fire department there. So basically, I guess you could say yes, we do. So yeah, absolutely. But
They'll
yeah.
probably charge you if you tell them, hey, we're having a thing this weekend.
Well, I know at one of my past events, I actually I called them and invited them to come up and park a fire truck down there, and
Uh,
maybe have their own little fundraiser and stuff. But at the time, I think this they told me that well, we don't know if we'll have enough you know people
People to
on
cover
board.
down.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because this was all about around the time of the when I first asked them. It was back when COVID was still rampant, and
yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if we need, if it's emergency, they're right there. So, so yeah, Nikki, has there been anything floating around that you may know about or have seen that I'm not aware of?
Well, like I said, the topics you covered have been the big things, the
Mhm.
CGI, the whole sugar flat road monster, um, and with Thinker Thunker claiming it's a real head. So
Mm,
Steve Coles is really gonna go after him. Uh
mm.
keep on him, he because he should. there has to be a little bit of vetting, for some of these channels that are just constantly putting out crap without even the slightest amount of vetting on because it wouldn't have taken very much for him to find the answers to what that head is. And once he was told, well, it's a head in a, behind glass at a curio museum, he doubled down and said, yeah, it is a head in a museum, but it's still real. Like,
Right.
somebody would really allow a taxidermist to stuff that head and then give it back to you and allow it to be shown. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. That would never happen.
Well, I tell you, there's another name is coming to my head because I've seen them in a couple different groups on occasions here, not well, fairly recently, and the name Know How to Hunt. What's the guy's name? Yeah,
Um, um, oh God, see now you said that. What's his name again, guys? John?
Steve
Uh,
is it
Steve
Steve?
Isdall.
Yeah,
Steve
okay,
Isdall.
that's right. So yeah, I've seen stuff with him popping up again. People sharing his content,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know where to go with him. I just know that I know people send in stories, and he'll talk and share it. At the same time, I've also heard this rumor too that some of the stories that are supposedly sent into him are made up and BS.
Oh yeah, I've heard
And
a lot of people say. I've heard two people say that they wrote in just to see if he would read their crap.
wow,
And he doesn't do any type of vetting either, but he truly believes that anybody willing to share their story, then it's real, then you've got to
mm,
take it as real. And
yeah,
he's
yeah,
not a Bigfooter or a researcher. He's just a hunter guide guy that ran into a way of getting clicks and views while he's
mhm,
out there doing his thing, and telling stories. So that's all. He just reads stories on off his phone and that's it, and he's making a lot of money doing it and it's supporting his hunting. So
right. So, have you ever heard any rumors about him being a hoaxer of any sort?
I have not. No,
Okay,
I have not. People want to use that word hoaxer pretty loosely, and
right.
they really shouldn't because there's a difference. I have hoaxers and hoodwinkers, on my list. There are some people who may do things that are really shady, but they're not hoaxers. And there's also people who believe in what they're saying. Those aren't hoaxers either. They maybe there's something mental there, maybe they are seeing things we aren't, whatever the reason. The hoaxer knows what they're doing, has a end game of gaining something from doing the hoax. Okay, prestige, money, um views, subs, whatever it is, he's got an end game to what they're doing. So it's
Hmm.
that, I mean, that's the way it is you
Right.
have to be careful about that. He is just reading stories and he doesn't care if they're real or not. People want to hear stories and they love it and they'll support him, and it's up to the individual. As soon as I heard some of these things or seen some of the pictures is what really offset me, was that he was showing pictures of things we knew were not real.
Mm,
And that's when I said, oh, this guy is just throwing whatever up there. So then
yeah.
you stop watching and you move on. If you
Right.
care about that, then you move on. If you don't care, if you're just in this community for the entertainment of hearing these different stories and you want to believe them, you know, you can watch Harry Potter too. That's not real either. you know, it's just go do that. So, um, it is what it is. It's not going to change. I don't feel it's going to it we're not any further really in 50 years. We really haven't come, unfortunately,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah. First of all, hello, Christy Sci-Fi. Haven't seen you on here in a long time. It's good to see you.
Hi,
So,
Christy.
and David's got a good question right here. Does he give a disclaimer before he tells the stories?
No, I've never heard
No.
a disclaimer.
Hmm.
Now, whether if he has one at the end of his description, I haven't looked, so I can't say
Okay.
if he has or not. Um, like I do on
No.
mine.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm. Like, for
but I,
example, my disclaimer is I'm not responsible if Nikki's telling stories right now. No, I'm just
I'm
joking.
telling lies. Apparently, I always tell lies. I have nothing to back up what I say.
Lies, sweet little
Um,
lies.
yeah, sweet lies. Uh,
Yeah.
how to hunt. I already forgot.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to ask those couple questions because I'm glad you kind of cleared that up. Because if anyone knew of anything, because like I said, on occasions, not recently, but I have heard rumors that he's just he's been known or claimed there's alleged hoaxes behind him. I don't know nothing about that if there actually is. So, but
Right.
that's why if anyone knew of anything, you would have known. So, yeah,
Not outright. I haven't heard of anything outright that he was caught doing or suspected of doing. It's just a lot of people are upset that he doesn't vet anything he reads.
yeah.
And that it's pretty much the thing. Okay, let me see what he's got here. Oh no, he doesn't have nothing on his descriptions at all, period. Here's a video. It just says here's a
Oh,
video. What we're doing.
oh.
That's it. It's nothing there.
Hmm. So everyone say hello to Phoenix Girl. That's my sister Melanie up in Rhode Island. So
Oh, Melanie, I've seen pictures of
yeah,
you.
yeah. She has plans to come down to attend our event in June. So I'm not sure which one of her little monsters are coming with her. So yeah. Usually it's just uh, let's see. There's oh my goodness, I can't. Jesse, my nephew Jesse. She normally brings him down, and then the second oldest. Um, oh man, I can't remember. I'm having brain farts remembering their names. That's a bad. But yeah, she may be coming down with a couple of her troops. So yeah, yep, yeah.
Um,
Melanie is
are you?
a truck driver up in Rhode Island. She does that all day long. She drives a bigger truck than I do. So
Whoa.
yeah.
Are you
So
open to having other people on tonight,
yeah,
Lenny?
yeah. Yeah. Somebody want to jump on?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
send them. They should be able to use the same link that I sent you. You can forward it or send that to
Yeah.
them.
Let me send it.
Oh, Melanie said I'll be there in June. Probably 3 out of my 4 kids. So okay, very cool. Uh, Ash. Okay, thank you for throwing their names out there, Melanie. Ashley, Caitlin, Jesse, and Sabrina. Okay, all right. Yeah, because Caitlin, we seen Caitlin probably about a couple months ago or so. She was coming back from North Carolina, visiting a friend, headed back, and she stopped by to say hi. So yeah, yeah. She said she's local. She's home daily. She hauls a 50-foot, 53-foot trailer. So yeah, awesome. Yeah. So yeah, just curious, who do you got coming on, Nikki?
Um, Jeff Harding from Pine Island Research.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll be looking out for their. See, yeah, I'll look out for their pop up here on my end. So, all right.
Possibly. Anyway.
Hmm. And what did you say his name was again?
Jeff Harding.
Jeff Harden. Okay.
Jeff
Yeah.
Harding. He's from Pine Island Research. He is attached to the Untold Radio Network.
Oh.
Radio
Okay.
AM, and with Doug Hychek, who was the producer of Mountain. Uh, uh, what's it called? Yeah, I was going to say Mountain Monsters, not Monster Quest. I'm sorry, Monster.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got his channel, and then he also does, but his main show is Monday nights on the Untold Network.
Very cool. Melanie is updating me on. Let's see, Ashley's birthday is today. She turned 25.
Ooh.
Jesse, he's 17. And Sabrina, I think Sabrina's around what, 30, almost 30? Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. So, yeah, how old are you, Nikki? Because I think you and Melanie are probably around the same age.
53.
Okay, you're my sister Melissa's age. Yeah, well, she'll be 53 this year. So, yeah, Melanie is about 51, 52, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, the older one.
Yeah, the old, yeah. Oh, me. Maynard said, "LOL, Monster Quest is pretty cool." Yeah, I wish Monster Quest would come back and start putting. I've always enjoyed watching Monster Quest. So
He's
yeah.
there. He says he's there waiting.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, Nikki.
Hey,
yeah.
welcome. Oh, okay. Now I see his face. I recognize him because I watched one of your episodes where he was on it when you and Pat were on here. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet you there, Jeff.
Nice
So
to meet you, Daniel. Yeah, I
yeah,
think we
absolutely.
probably chatted before. I don't remember if it was through Messenger or whatnot, or just
Oh, it's
one
probably
of the groups. Probably one of the groups we were commenting on the same thing, you know.
oh, perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm always somewhere on Facebook or yeah. Okay, my sister's correcting me. Yeah, she said Sabrina turned 30 in December. So man. Yep, she's like my oldest niece. Cause yeah. Oh, and Melanie's correcting me on her age. She's 51. So, so
Me and Nikki are
all
the
right.
same age. She just looks 10 years younger than I do. So, well, you see, the women, they don't have to deal with the gray beards and the whole everything, right? They can hide it better. They can hide it better than
Yeah,
we can.
we do that.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Nikki keeps her beard shaved down very clean. So
Yep.
Every day you gotta all of that. Going.
That and I don't have an hour every morning to do makeup and whatnot. I mean, I
think there was actually one time you saw me putting my makeup on because we had an early morning chat. And I'm like, I have stuff to do. We need to do this discussion, but I'm putting my makeup on while we're talking.
She said, "What time are you going live?" And I said, "In like 45 minutes." She goes, "Oh, I better get going. I got to do my hair and makeup." And I said, "No, you don't." I mean,
he knows now. He gives me a warning now.
I don't have that many people to impress on my channel. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I remember that one time Nikki came on my podcast. She still had her curls in her hair, her nightgown on, smoking a cigarette, and I just
what
joking.
do you want?
Oh my!
I think that would shock you if that ever happened.
You got to be talking about something that she's got a pretty passionate opinion on. If she's gonna buy, just skip past the whole
Bypass that, yeah.
makeup stage.
It's got to be pretty serious. Pretty serious.
John saying, respect to the beard, Daniel. Yeah. Yeah, there's a part of me that's tempted to trim it down, but we'll see. So, but everyone's like, no, don't touch the beard, leave it alone. So, thing is, it grows back fairly quick. I mean, if I was to get rid of it, give me 6-7 months, it'll be back.
One day, it takes you like one day, and you're like, poof, again.
To get
it's like
that
Chia Pet.
To get that first 2 inches, it seems like it takes a bit. But once it gets there, it really gets rolling. I mean, it's amazing how fast it'll go from here to here. But
for a while there, you had the skunk kind of white strips going down. Now it looks like it's kind of blending a little more.
Yeah. I said when the wind blows, it separates it. It does like this number here. So yeah. You can't really. I don't know if you could see it on the one side. The gray is starting to coat over here a little bit though. So yeah.
See, when you go hunting, it's great camouflage because a deer or a turkey just thinks it's 2 skunks cuddling over behind a tree over there.
Yeah, David says it's my trademark. I could put a braid. He said I could put a braid in it. So, oh my.
So what are you guys up to tonight? What are you chatting about? Anything interesting or?
A few random things. We kind of jumped across the board here. Some of the things we discussed in the beginning was what's very common on social media that a lot of people are seeing and sharing regarding AI images and all of these digitally created images that are being passed around as being legit, which is very common. It's getting out of hand, and it's just amazing what people fall for these days.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to get worse before it gets any better, if it does get any better. Because right now we're dealing with the AI technology as it is available to consumers to really manipulate and create artificial images, not necessarily video. And if you look at the same where we're at right now, people say, well, this is coming down the pipe, right? This stuff we're dealing with now with images was coming down the pipe a couple of years ago. Now it's available. You can get 10 different apps on your phone. You give it $5 and insert 50 pictures of yourself, and this thing will make an image of yourself doing anything at any time in history you ask it to, But with the AI video that's being implemented now and the artificial metadata that's able to be written to align with it, we're getting to the point that's going to be available. It's available right now to professionals, in the industry, where you could tell it foot deep of snow, large tracks, spaced far apart, running parallel to a tree line, and give it 2 minutes, and it's going to spit out a set of tracks in deep snow running parallel to a tree line. And it's going to be a video that looks like you're walking along it.
You're right.
And you put your own voice to that video saying, hey, I just filmed this next to this tree line. I'll tell you what, people aren't going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. And I did a big show on that here just this last week, and there's a few voices out there that are really trying to contradict that, saying, oh, well, that's not possible right now. I agree, but it's going to be possible very soon.
Right.
These 6 or 7 technologies or corporations are out there right now in this technology world. And right now they're in the midst of basically a race to the moon. In the 60s, that was a huge thing. Who can get the edge up on the next country, right? And it was a race to see who could get to the moon. That's what we're dealing with right now is AI technology. You've got 7 or 8 corporations that are cutting each other's throats trying to race to those copyrightable technologies,
Oh yeah. Yeah, like even what David said, look at what they do in the movies these days with AI. I mean, yeah, they're doing it with human flesh. I mean, real human images and stuff. I mean, they're editing and altering what we see on social media. I mean, I've seen pictures of certain actresses or whatever, and then yeah, they a lot of it might be professionally done photoshopped images where they're taking actresses' face and putting them on these different bodies, and people are glorifying what's being put out there, and they're like, that's not the real person because this is what the real person actually looks like. They don't have that appearance, not to get into details, but you know, I've seen that's my observation too with what they're doing with people. So yeah, some of these images when it comes to AI and what they are doing, yeah, it's gonna look legit.
Well,
So,
if you
but
look at where CGI has gone in Hollywood in movie creation, what that's accomplished, and where it was 10 years ago, where it's at now. I mean, special effects. There's no reason to hire a stuntman anymore. You don't need one.
right,
And if you look at the the model or that profit model that exists for studios, spend $30 million to produce and film a movie in hopes to make $100 million at the box office and profit, right? They're not going to need to take those kind of risks. You can artificially feed a storyline into an AI, right? A properly set up AI setup to where you feed it the storyline and you feed it the basically every line of the movie, and it's going to produce the whole thing for you. I mean, other than short of pasting in the famous person's face and that draws people to a theater, I don't know that there's really a need to film anything anymore. You can create it all with CGI and AI, probably.
oh yeah.
In
I mean,
5 years, I don't know if there'll be movie sets, so to speak.
right. I mean, yeah, I can recall from when I was a young kid up till now with certain movies that they've made several remakes on, and learning the behind the scenes of some of these movies. Look at how they approved, or I should say, improved over the years with the way technology has progressed. With I mean, for example, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, looking at what they used back in the early '90s when the 90 like yeah, very like 1992 when the Turtles first came to the theaters to the big screen, and learning the behind the scenes and what was used. Uh, then with what they're using now, which is completely CGI.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean they use people to a certain extent with inside costumes. Now everything's computer graphics and generated and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, they've come a long way. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, the one thing that people will usually argue is that you can't fake metadata, but the truth is it's being faked in technology, and the ability for it to get even better is just in the next year or two. It's going to be to a point to where, not that there aren't people on earth that won't exist with the ability to tell if something's faked or not. For a big part, it's pretty hard to tell. A great example, Eric from Media Palace was showing me the articles on this, is that how the government every year when they do wildlife stamps for duck season or crane season, they have these outdoor photographers submit photography, and they'll select the one that they're going to put on the federal waterfall stamp every year or whatever, and those photographers make a lot of money in this. There's a lot of money that's involved in that. And just last year, they had picked down to these finalists of 5 of them. And one of the finalists is looking at one of the other's pictures saying, he didn't take that. I have a friend of mine who took that picture. I know where that picture came from. And the agency said, well, send us your friend's an original copy with metadata of your friend's picture. And he did. And they looked at the picture submitted by this other photographer, and the images were exact. They had different sets of metadata that both looked legit, and that agency could not tell the difference between the two. So, I mean, it's being done right now to where I'm not saying had that agency gone to Microsoft and got the right guy in the building to look at and say, well, that one's fake and that one's real. Maybe they could have. But they're pulling the wool over the eyes over some people right now who are writing pretty big checks, you know? I mean, it's going to be a problem really, really bad here over the next year, 2 years, especially once you get 2-3 years out. But
yeah, I mean, with all the craziness, I'll call it, that we're dealing with and seeing on social media, what kind of advice? Yeah, what kind of advice would you give to the public who comes across all these images and stuff? Is there? I guess for me, I would tell them that don't be so quick to assume with your oohs and ahs that this is the legit thing. I mean, would you say
I think you're right. It's not. You have to get away from the assumption, right? Boy, that looks real. I'm going to share it in this group and tell people, I saw this picture. This looks really real. Rather than do that, share the picture in the group and say, has anybody else seen this picture before? Are they aware of what the origin is? I think it looks good, but maybe this is a hoax. I don't know. And you'll get worthy responses that will help you learn about the image you're looking at.
Right.
Versus these people sharing it to groups saying, I love this picture is proof, or look at this picture, it's so great. And then really all you're doing is starting an argument. You got half the people commenting saying, holy smokes, that's a real picture. And the other half are saying, bullshit, that's a hoax. Had the picture been posted at the beginning with people just asking, can anybody tell me about this picture? You would have learned right away it was a hoax, you know? But there's too many people going about this with the assumption. They're so hopeful, you know, and this cautiously optimistic approach is being too optimistic and not enough cautious, really. Is kind of how I feel about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, then on the other hand, you got people are taking these AI images and saying, look what I captured on my trail camera, you know, for example. I mean, I've seen that numerous times. Or someone say, yeah, a friend of mine sent this to me. They captured this or blah, blah, blah on their property, you know. I mean, either they're using that catchphrase as, well, my friend sent this to me, it's got to be real, or they're just using that as just part of their BS.
Yeah.
Or their friend is actually pulling a fast one on them, and you know, I've seen it from all different angles, and yeah, it's just, you know, getting out of hand, you know. And then, like I told Nikki, I said I've had friends saying, you know, I'm just wasting my breath just trying to point things out. I mean, I probably am, but at the same time, I want to point and say things because, you know, people need to like reconsider or at least think for themselves instead of jumping on something and instead of assuming or going along with something, you know, instead of learn to question things and take things with a grain of salt. But it just seems like the majority of the Bigfoot community, they're jumping on anything because they want to believe that it's real, and so they're going to go along with it, you know. So,
well, it can be frustrating. I mean, Nikki knows this as well as anybody, that when you see 90% of the channels and the influencers and the podcasters and the people in this community, 90% of them are out there chasing the shock value, chasing the three ring circus mentality. you see it in the titles of their streams, even, and it can be frustrating to think, man, who am I really reaching here? I mean, there's so much BS being thrown out there, but if anything, it should be more motivation for us, even if channels like ours are in the minority of approaching the Bigfoot subject with a real truthful attempt to, solve a mystery rather than exploit it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's actually, channels like mine versus the ones that try to put Bigfoot in their videos, or claim to have Bigfoot in their videos, or constant activity every time they go out. Those are the channels that are getting big time subscriptions. Versus, I mean, mine's come a long ways. I mean, mine is slowly growing here, but I mean, so anyone that's been watching and following my channel, it's a combination of podcasts and field videos. So I have a little bit of both here, but I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm in the small percentage compared to some of these other ones that exploded. I should say, but yeah. Well, I mean, like David Lester said, you got to keep it real, and it's part of reason why I think mine's small compared to others, because I don't go out there. It's like, there he is. Look at, you guys see him, or I'm not trying to make up stuff for excitement, or I mean, my
The
conventions are for. Yeah, go ahead.
The majority of the time that you see investigators or researchers out in the field, they all tell you it doesn't happen every day. You're not going to run into those things every day, or any evidence whatsoever. It's pretty normal, circumstances out there where they're just hiking and exploring, and they don't find anything. The
Right.
majority of the time. I know several. Brian and Chewy, he always says, I'm out there all the time, but he doesn't. He just shows his adventure, and that's what
Right.
makes him even greater to watch, because he's not expecting to see a Sasquatch or to find anything. He's just showing you his path,
Right.
his journey out there, and it makes it even more credible to watch stuff like that, or
Right.
Sasquatch just going out there and exploring and seeing the area, because many of us don't do that or can't do that.
Right. And yeah, I mean, that's the majority of what, like, in my field videos, I like sharing the scenery. Like, I want people to see where I'm hiking, where I'm exploring. And yeah, if I do come across something, I'm going to share it. Like, if I come across an interesting tree structure, I say, well, look at this formation, look at this, I mean, and as I tell people, I call it nature's art, because, we don't know if weather did it. We don't know if something else made it or a human made it. I always call it nature's art, and it's, regardless, it's fascinating. So yeah, if I come across something, especially tracks, if I do find tracks, I'm always quick to point them out. So, but yeah, most of the time it's me exploring. Sometimes me talking. So, but I go out there and
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I go out there and I'm enjoying myself, because if you're out there in the woods, that's one thing. If you're gonna be out there, you got to enjoy it out there, regardless if you have something to share or not. But that's how it is. But
well, one of the things that, to me, I find more value in a channel making videos and going out in the field with this realistic. Let's just look at one area of this conversation and discover and run experiments or whatever, versus, hey, I'm going out to see if I can see Sasquatch. Ooh, what was that sound over there? Ooh, something just threw a pine cone over here. There's nothing intriguing about that stuff to me anymore when people do that. One of the videos we were going to do is me and two other researchers were going to go out in a square 1 mile area in the Pine Island Forest here in northern Minnesota that's pretty remote, pretty heavily wooded, and just in 1 square mile spend 4 nights out there. One night in a different spot. We're going to sleep, we're going to eat, and we're going to pee out in the forest. Okay. We're not going to build campfires, but we're going to try to hide any sign that we've been there. Okay. Where we set up a tent, even though Bigfoot don't set up a tent, they lay down and make beds and stuff. We're going to anything we've killed, whether we shoot a squirrel and eat it, whatever, we're going to try to exist out there for 4 different nights. Then what I'm going to do is take Doug and a couple other people into that square 1 mile area and see if they can try to discover those 4 areas that we spent a night, or at least find one of them. See if they can find some sign, even though we were making a concerted effort to try to cover up that sign. The reason being is I want to approach the subject of habitation. It's not, to me, I'm not saying they couldn't exist in like a 10 mile area and just keep moving around. But this whole idea, there's 5 of them that live in my backyard and they're back in that square 100 yards all the time. I don't buy that.
Right.
I think if their number one goal is to be elusive and undiscovered and whatnot, that it would be hard to imagine it. But I think without even going after the Sasquatch theory part of it, I want to see if 3 humans can spend 4 nights in 4 different spots in a square mile and cover up where they've been, and see if 3 other people can walk out and say, this is one spot that you spent a night. Because if you can prove that even when you try, you can't cover up those areas and make them hidden, then maybe there's something to be considered to habitation. If they go out there and they can't figure it out at all where you were one of those nights, I mean, it just supports either end of the argument. It's just an interesting video that I think people would learn from, as far as how hard would this really be to cover up where you're sleeping, where you're going to the bathroom, where you're killing something and eating it, because I think habitation is an interesting conversation, but I got to tell you, these people that say, I've got some of them living in my backyard behind my barn, and I go out there and they wave at me, and that, dude, you can't tell me you can't walk out there and find sign to photograph,
Right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that too myself.
I just think little videos like that kind of show you an examination of what is in this discussion, rather than let me go out and try to film Sasquatch today, I think are more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you more to consider when you're having these conversations. But
yeah, another thing too, like there's particular wildlife that I know that are in my area, and I'm always seeking out their sign. My thing is, it's when I go out in the field, I'm not thinking about Bigfoot. I got to think about what else is out there that I know that does exist out there, and and as I tell people, when you go out in the woods, get Bigfoot off the brain for one thing. Again, enjoy nature and get familiar with what does exist out there. Look for their signs. Because, anything Bigfoot, Sasquatch related, if it is there in that area, if it's going to stand out. I believe it's going to be very obvious, which it has been to me on some occasions. But like mountain lions, a lot of people deny that we have mountain lions here on the East Coast. I know they're there, Yeah. Some people get excited or surprised that, hey, there's bobcat in my area. I captured them 3 times on camera now,
Many of the East Coast, the Northeast Department of Natural Resources in different states have had to backtrack on their stances on that for many, many years, over a decade. The state of New Hampshire said there's no way that there's mountain lions in northern New Hampshire. And then all of a sudden, somebody was out hiking and they left a couple trail cameras, and they went out the next day to pick them up. And there's a clear picture of a mountain lion standing on top of what has since fallen down, the man in the mountain face that's on the New Hampshire quarter. That's in the White Mountains area of Bethlehem, New Hampshire. That since then, that what they had as a their representation of their state court actually has fallen down.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that ledge was where this guy recorded a mountain lion. And after he did, the New Hampshire DNR had to come out and backtrack and admit there is a mountain lion population in New Hampshire. But this is on the tail of 15 years of denying it, you know? But
wow. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that's what is going to take a good, clear image of one of them here in Virginia. Because I mean, I've witnessed one back in 2015. There's been several other eyewitnesses to them, but eyewitnesses alone ain't enough. Just like in the Bigfoot world. I mean, we could have 100 eyewitnesses to Bigfoot, and being that Bigfoot falls under the folklore and legend, your authorities ain't going to believe it. Maybe some might consider it, but yeah, a story, it basically is considered anecdotal evidence. It's verbal evidence. It's not concrete, So, yeah, it's the same thing with mountain lions. I could tell the DNR here, like, oh, well, I had one cross the road on me. Yeah. But just like all the people that responded to my blog that reported what they seen on their own property over on the other side of the mountain, they're being told that's not what they saw. So.
It's like that all over, even on the West Coast. Now they've said they've seen a moose up in Washington on the west side of the Cascades. That hadn't happened before. They've also found the pine marten there in Northern California that they thought was extinct or, was gone, and now they have that on a trail cam. So
I think we're to a point to where I really don't believe that, especially when it comes to mountain lions, that there's any state that they couldn't habitate in other than Hawaii. And the reasoning that I feel that way is here in my home state of South Dakota, even though I have a lake home and do my research in northern Minnesota, I spend the winter and a lot of the time of the year here in South Dakota. On the west half of South Dakota in the Black Hills where Mount Rushmore is, very mountainous, and there are a ton of mountain lions. I mean, just a huge population of mountain lions in Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota. However, 400 miles to the east on the South Dakota-Minnesota border, we get mountain lions showing up. And we're talking about a mountain lion that 70 miles wide strip of South Dakota on the western border is mountainous where they're known to be. The rest of the state is flat, cornfields. It is not mountain lion country, okay? And yet we have mountain lions show up in eastern South Dakota. And what the DNR was doing was what they used to take them and capture them and bring them back to Western South Dakota, and these stupid things would migrate back. So they started radio collaring them, and they had basically a mountain lion about every 15 to 20 miles along the Big Sioux River Valley from the north corner of South Dakota all the way down to Sioux City, Iowa, all along the Big Sioux River. And they would fly that 2-3 times a day and account for where these were. And they were staying like 15, 20 miles spaced apart along that, like they had their own little micro territory, right? Most of them were young males. And one day they flew over and they weren't picking up the collar on one of them. So they flew it again in the afternoon and they didn't get the collar reading. So they flew it the next morning and didn't get it. And that evening they didn't get it, but late that evening they got a call from Kansas DNR saying that this mountain lion had been hit by a train in Kansas. And it was at that point like 510 miles from where they last showed it in South Dakota. And we're talking 40 hours, like 36 hours after they had last signaled it. And they're like, how could it go 510 miles in that time, right? This doesn't make sense. So South Dakota's DNR went and picked up the mountain lion and did an autopsy on it. You know what they found? It had an infected molar that was very swelled up. And I don't know if anybody here has ever had a tooth get infected before, but it's a kind of pain you haven't experienced if you've never had it. when you're standing up and walking around during the day, it's manageable. I mean, you feel it hurts, but you can deal with it. But you lay down on the couch and within 5 minutes, it feels like somebody's hitting you in the head with a hammer. It hurts so bad. And what they came to the conclusion was that this mountain lion had gotten an infected molar. And the way it was dealing with it is if it ran full blast and got its blood going, it wouldn't hurt. But as soon as it would stop running, it would start pounding again. And so it kept running as a way to manage the pain, but it also got disoriented doing that. And that's why it ran 510 miles in like 40 some hours. And I thought that was pretty interesting because, I mean, there's times where it probably stopped, but most of the time it was maintaining probably a 20, 25 mile an hour run through these fields and open fields, you know. And that's how it ended up in Kansas. And now since then, the DNR has done these studies where every now and then we'll get a bull moose here in South Dakota. And, you know, they're up in northern Minnesota, but that's 7 hours away, you know, for it to come down east and across Fargo into North Dakota flat farmland and down into South Dakota flat farmland. Why would they do that? There's no forested areas or, you know, no undulation or top topography that's high in the air. And so when they'd find these moose, they'd check them, they'd dart them and they'd look at them. And a lot of times they were finding an infected tooth in them. And it just made me realize that there's a reason sometimes why animals get displaced way away from where you think they would be. You know, for a vertebrate mammal, this could be one of them. But the fact is, you don't need that many mammals in an area for them to start a population of them, especially felines like mountain lions. You get, you know, 5 to 10 males and 3 to 4 females in an area. You can have 35, 40 mountain lions on your hands the following year. And the year after that, have 120 of them. I mean, it's not that hard to get, you know. So when people say, well, I don't think mountain lions could be in Virginia, I say, prove to me how they couldn't be, dude. They could easily be there.
Exactly.
And if a moose can make it to the middle of a cornfield in South Dakota, literally 450 miles away from the nearest forest, how the hell can one not end up on the other side of the Cascades than what you expected it to, you know? I just don't see the reasoning as to why these things can't happen. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like, you know, with what you laid out there, because a lot of people don't think about just overall the, you know, or just even consider that they, you know, that these species get around, they migrate, they move for whatever reason.
They don't know borders. I mean, you know, they're just animals. They don't know borders. They just go
exactly.
Go. Yeah. You know, when the reason why they think something shouldn't happen is simply because it's not likely, that's a poor argument. I mean, it's not likely that man should have ever stepped on the moon, is what you would have said 75 years ago. It's not likely an SR-71 Blackhawk should have been designed to fly at 55,000 feet, the speed that it does. It's not. There's a lot of things that right before they happened isn't likely this should happen, and yet it does. And so when we look at nature and say, why can't a mountain lion live in Virginia? Well, it's not likely. That's a piss poor argument.
Right.
You know?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And on the other hand, you got the crowd that follows the authorities, like the local Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, the rangers. If they're saying that they don't exist here, then you got that group of people that are going to go along. Well, they said they're not here, so they must not be here. You know, I mean.
Well, I've interviewed DNR, 3 DNR higher ups, not only from South Dakota, but Minnesota and Idaho. And what was interesting was the one in Idaho was saying the reason why we play down the numbers of black bears in those areas is because people will overreact to them.
Right.
The reason why South Dakota DNR officials play down the number of mountain lions that exist in eastern South Dakota is that people will overreact to those numbers. And they're right. If the news channel here did a story saying DNR says they're tracking 8 mountain lions along the Big Sioux River Valley over a 200-mile stretch, shit, for hundreds of miles here, people wouldn't let their kids go out and play in the backyard. They don't know how to react to that, right? And so they just play it down. The DNR guy here says we track almost a dozen mountain lions in eastern South Dakota at all times with radio collars. And you'll never read a news article, an online article, or anything with a DNR official or a state official putting a number on how many mountain lions they believe are in eastern South Dakota, because they don't want people saying, oh my God, I can't let my dog out at night anymore because I live 10 miles from there, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I've made mention of to other people. I was like, and I think part of that is, I guess we could say, could be related to Sasquatch. But as far as the mountain lion subject, yeah, I believe the authorities here do know or are aware of them. But for the very same reasons what you mentioned and brought up, yeah, what would the public think if they know that they actually did exist here? I mean, would they spend their time out in the woods camping in some of the national parks?
It'd never be perceived as anything other than negative press.
Right.
That's it. You're not going to see Virginia say, let's quit saying Virginia's for lovers. Let's start saying Virginia has mountain lions. Like, that'll attract a lot of people here, right? No, it won't.
Right.
No, it won't.
Right. Come meet a mountain lion.
Sasquatch. Come over.
Yeah.
And it's really no different. You can change the whole scenario, the whole landscape of the conversation. You don't hear Florida talking too much about the numbers of great white sharks that are within 50-mile range of any shoreline in Florida. They just don't talk about it. Those numbers are out there. Those marine biologists know what they see and what they study, what they look at. But they aren't going to talk about it and do a news story about it. You'd kill the economy in a lot of those towns.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can go and look up those radio things for the sharks, and they're just all over the Gulf and the East Coast, and they don't mention all, they know exactly where they're going, and they don't tell you.
Yeah. They don't, nobody will react well to it.
Right.
Some people will act appropriately and say, well, I'm still going to swim there. I haven't been bitten yet. They've always been that many there. I'm not worried about it. Others will say, we're not flying my family there at once a year anymore. So there goes $15,000 out of that economy, and times that by, a couple million people a year. It's just, there's nothing good will come from talking real numbers with people. They don't react well to them.
Yeah, you said the key word, the economy. That's what it all boils down to, though. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, man. Well, tell you what, guys, we got a few minutes left here. Is there anything that we haven't touched base or made mention of that you guys want to share before we jump off?
Well, we talked about my show on Sunday. That's going to be a good one, a real good one. You got to watch that. Come by and join the chat. There it is. There she blows. The Norm Glasser hoax and the interview that was done by Steve Alcorn himself when that photo first came into the Bigfoot world. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's an image that's been getting a lot of chatter lately.
Yep. A lot of people.
It's just so funny how some things are so cyclic, right? There's images that are out there right now nobody's paying attention to, and yet 6 months from now we'll be talking about one of those images it happened this afternoon.
Oh yeah, I've seen that happen so many times over the years. I mean, stuff that when I first got on social media, that was big topics and discussions, and then they went away. And yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see all these different ones rotate. Because there's so many new people getting involved. And it just there's a rotation of all this crap, So
right. In the middle of the week, Daniel will send me a photo. What is this? Where did this come from? I know you've seen it. What's coming?
That's one thing we gotta really not be blind to is the fact that everybody's in a different place in their journey on this subject, and it's easy for us three or many of the people in chat when we see a picture say, oh, I've seen that picture 2 years ago. Whatever. But there's people who are starting their journey and learning about this. It just started yesterday morning, and they're freaking lost, dude. They see those pictures and they don't know what to make of them.
Right.
That's why I have my channel. So come on over.
She's your tour guide to keep you out of the tall weeds right there.
Sometimes it's easier to just tell them, well, come on, man, get with the program. Or like, oh, yeah, you got to be patient with them. Like, yep, that's been around since 1990, whatever. And, I said, we've already seen that. But
just like the Beacon Bigfoot photos, there's so many in that hoax that they pop up all the time, different ones,
Yeah.
Oh, it's a baby. We've never seen a baby before. And, so that's got to be real. And I'm like, here's a picture of them in an exhibit. There you go. Yeah, it's not real.
Absolutely.
Well, on my show Monday night, I'm going to have Brendan and Chuck from the Catskills Appalachian Research Collective.
Oh, yeah. Those are good guys. They've been at a couple of my events here in Virginia. Yeah. So, yeah,
I really like, they cover a lot of different areas, a lot of different subjects, from ufology and different things, but they tend to focus mainly on the flesh and blood approach to Sasquatch. And I really like their weekly show where they're showing kind of the highlights of this week in Bigfoot on their channel, where they take clips from a lot of different shows. And typically the shows they're taking from are shows that seem to be approaching the subject in a responsible way,
I had a 1 minute spot.
Yeah. I think it was you, Nick. I was on your show and you were like, oh, Jeff was on their show last week. And I was like, who is this? What are you talking about? And I went and looked, and it was a different channel that was interviewing me on something. And they had a minute of it on there. I was like, hell, not only did I not know that was a clip being used, but I didn't know who these guys were using it. Then I started learning about them. I thought, I like what they're doing here. I'm going to have them on my show and talk to them about, But tonight, they did a show earlier tonight where they're recapping the whole Thinker Thunker Steve Coles back and forth. I'll tell you what, that was freaking epic.
It was hilarious.
I laughed for 5 minutes straight watching the first 5 minutes of that show tonight. It was a cartoon fight back and forth.
It was cartoon people fighting, and then it would Steve Coles.
When one was winning, it was Steve Coles' voice from his show. And then when the other one was losing, it was Thinker Thunker's voice over it.
Oh, wow. Very awesome. Yeah, we'll talk about the CARC team. One of their members, Gwendolyn Purcell, which she's actually one of my sponsors, or her brand product, it's called Got Knockers. She's actually one of their podcast hosts as well. And I definitely want to throw out her event that she's hosting this year up there in Pennsylvania. The Central PA Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival. So that's one of the events. I'm actually going to be speaking there. So that should be a lot of fun. I've been up in her area. It's a very neat area, and we have yet to do some investigating up there. We have some exploring to do up there. So
I
um,
like her product line. I actually, I'd seen the group on Facebook for a while. I look and get in my feed some of their stuff that they post, but I hadn't really dove into and actually looked at their products. I'll tell you what, it's kind of interesting. It's not just the t-shirts and hoodies and stuff, but I mean they're making a baseball bats with
right,
their
yeah,
logo on it that you can. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It's kind of it. It's well thought out. I think, but
Yeah.
yeah. The baseball bats, they look great in person because she had them last year at my event, and yeah, they look great. So and yeah, she's actually added more of a darker burn to them now. Well, the recent ones, the most recent ones, yeah, they're. I think yeah, she put a little bit more darker burn on, but they look really good. She's done a great job at putting them together. So yeah, her product line is actually growing and expanding.
Mhm.
So although she's one of my sponsors for this year, unfortunately she will not be at my event this year. Yeah, her and her husband will be in Ireland. Yeah, they're
Oh,
flying out to
Nice.
nice.
Ireland. Yeah, so they'll be there for I think almost a little over a week, give or take. So yeah,
Well, me and Nikki got connections in Ireland. We've got a friend that lives out there that would probably love to meet them and show them around if they're looking for
They
the
need
little
a
tour.
yeah.
okay.
Not a huge island,
Yeah, I mean I don't
In
know
three
nothing about
hours, you
what.
can get from one end to the other, I guess.
Yeah.
Now I've heard stories about Ireland from. Well, I heard one. A friend of mine that used to live in Virginia here. Her and her husband, they now live out in Arizona, and but her husband, he's always going outside the country. He does a lot of different. I guess you could call it. Um, I don't want to say it's missionary work, but he goes to help and educate people. A lot of it deals with youth as well, but one of his missions, he was in Ireland with a group of people, and they discovered a cave. And upon approach of the cave, they did find what appeared to be a large humanoid foot track.
Hmm.
And as they kept working their way in there, they had this loud guttural growl that came out deep in the cave. Of course, they weren't going to stick around to find out what it was, but they ran out of there. So it makes you
That's
wonder.
interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting just because as an island, when you look at what populates that area as far as large vertebrate mammals, I mean, there's not a whole lot that's going to make that sound, first of all.
right.
And Derek McManus, who is in a lot of our chats, he's from Ireland, and me and Nikki have gotten to know him pretty well. And he'll tell you, I mean, he's looked into the subjects of not just Bigfoot, but a lot of the paranormal subjects across the country there in Ireland. And, they have a steep, rich, centuries deep history in hauntings and a lot of different areas of the paranormal. Not so much with Sasquatch. There just isn't a lot of forested area that would suffice. There's a few small areas that could, but whether or not there's enough of it to really maintain, the elusivity that would need to be for an animal like that to exist, I don't know that there's enough there. But boy, I'll tell you what, when you start looking at the hauntings and things like that, that's a scary island to be on if you're into that sort of thing. There's a lot of things to go look at. But
Interesting. Let me find something here real quick.
it's kind of the same in many of the areas when it comes to Scotland, Romania, things like that. I mean, really for centuries, there's been a lot of. If you were ever really into watching Josh Gates in the series that he had, where they would go explore everything from Bigfoot to sea monsters or whatever, and he'd take a realistic approach to it. Some of the scariest shows he's ever done was like in Romania and Scotland and Ireland, where they were looking into haunted areas or things like
Right.
that. But
Yeah, I can recall a couple of those episodes there. Yeah, where he was investigating. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm taking that back. That was a different documentary. It was two other people that were investigating different reports and stuff. But no, I have seen quite a few with what he gets involved with. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys both for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me pop on with you. It was fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you on again, Jeff.
Well, yeah, I'd like to have you on my channel sometime too, Daniel. It'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know Nikki probably gets to hog you most of the time, but now that I officially met you, I'm going to start hogging you here too.
Well,
so.
I do. So I have my original channel, which is Pine Island Research here on YouTube, that I started on a little over a year and a half ago. And I'll still do like daytime casual discussion type shows on there. But my Monday night Pine Island Research show, I actually feature on the Untold Radio Network's channel. And on that channel, I tend to go after trying to find people who will share encounters and things like that. There's a few times where I'll put together a panel, but on my original channel, especially where we just have laid back, open discussions, unbridled discussions. I mean, I'm not monetized. I don't care if somebody says a word that's not appropriate. Whereas over on the Untold channel, everything's on every podcast platform. We kind of got to follow a few more rules there. So it's a little bit more different for me. But
absolutely. I totally get that. Yeah, we tend to be a little bit very open at times. I mean, we want to watch and keep the language clean if possible. But overall, we like to be straight to the point, or be blunt and straightforward on certain things. But as far as language wise, we do try to watch that. But
it's just the inconsistencies of kind of how some of the TOSs are applied. You really don't know what you should do or what you shouldn't do. And a lot of times when we figure out what the answer is, it's after somebody's given you a warning for something,
Yeah.
It's better just to be proactive about it than take a risk. But
yeah, I mean, there's been some podcasts that I've been on as a guest where you get this whole itinerary and this whole rundown of rules and everything. And they give you a heads up before coming on the show. Please be aware that blah 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 blah. So which I get that because some of these shows that I've been on, they're not just on YouTube, but they're applied to other bigger platforms, so I'm aware of that. You got to be careful,
It's funny if you look at the list of rules I have that I give to guests before my Untold show and before on my channel. On the Untold show, it's don't smoke and drink if you're online. Don't swear. Don't, all these things, right? If you want to talk about somebody who's controversial in the community, you can kind of set up and say, lately, a lot of you are aware of a picture that was shared, this and that. I don't say the names of who shared them. I don't need to crucify people in that way.
Right.
But on my show, on my channel, on the Pine Island Research channel, my only rule is be respectful to each other. I acknowledge we're going to argue about things. I acknowledge that we have passionate differences on different opinions. And I'm fine with debating those out. But there's a way to do it and still be respectful,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, good deal. So one last thing I want to throw out there for those who are listening now and those who listen later, be sure to tune in with us for next Friday, April 21st. We do have a guest that I'll be interviewing, Mr. Jim Boardwine from, I believe he's actually from Virginia. Yes, I actually first got to meet him down in Tennessee last year. And Jim is, I guess you could say he's a mountain man. He's got historical stories and different things and events and experiences that we're going to discuss. It's going to be interesting because he attends a lot of events and he's got a lot of stories he likes to share to the public. And I'm interested to see what he shares with us next Friday. So you're going to want to check that out. And we'll go from there. So meanwhile, thank you guys for everyone who watched and tuned in tonight. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Nikki. And absolutely. Until next time, guys. I'm Daniel Benoit, your host, and we're out.
The 2023 Virginia Bigfoot Conference sponsors. Today's live episode is brought to you by Sasquatch. Be sure to get you some the sauce that spots.